Yo, what's up, everybody? And welcome back to Great Ace Attorney. After a thrilling conclusion to Case 3, I had my head spinning most of the time. We are back to continue this ludicrously crazy adventure, the likes of which I'm not ready for. I don't think I'm ready for this, but we're gonna do it. Twisted Karma and his last bow. Let's get it. Episode 4. It was indeed a most bizarre incident born of a curious advertisement and a commonplace killing at the edge of town.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder. An executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this case. "8 days after that earth-shattering trial and Kazuma regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel." Oh gosh. The last time there was a hotel related to a case, it got crazy. Please don't get abducted. Anyway, Professor Mikotoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Shizawa hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew that he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? Maybe that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right. But for some reason, he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. Probably means he knows then about Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia, and that he's regained his memory now. There she is. Oh, Father. Hello, Susato. How are you? Looking nice, Judge. And Professor Mikotoba. I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you arrived safe and sound. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man? Why do I feel as though I've seen him before? He's a judge in your trial, bro. I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder? Says Shiro. A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap. What? Here we go, then. Hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Guilty. Oh! You're... Oh yeah, he did hold his hammer. on here? The trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Your Excellency. Hello, Judge Shioku. How are you? It's been a long time. Ha 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 ha! Good, you remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty. Ha 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 ha. Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Of course, you would say that, Johan. Why am I? I'm not even surprised at this point. Though really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seshiro? What are you talking about, Yujin? Ha 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 ha. Of course, Judge Shioku. You must complete the set. He is the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. Oh my gosh. Still. Gosh. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? I knew you were jealous. Ha 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 ha. Sorry, ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know Seshiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on the study tour. Well, thank you, Judge. Guilty as charged. Ha ha ha. Oh, well, thank you very much. Really every bit as important as he looks. Ah, yes, now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. Oh, what happened 10 years ago? That tragedy. Yes? Can you tell us any more about it? So how was the voyage here? Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. It wasn't as bad as when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. And I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium. In fact, it starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Seshiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited, and I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugene. You were close friends with the professor of forensic science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. No. There's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Kazuma's father, I suppose. The professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asoji. You could say he had a Genshin impact. Genshin. You knew, I presume, Father. Chat's yelling at me. Yes. Did she actually? Yay! I made the same joke as Viv. I'm smart. Cool. Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. What about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? No, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up as if he was my own son. My eye itches. Hold on. Okay, I feel much better now. Then one day, he came to my office at the university and said, I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there. Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know, but when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh, what? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Cosmo has since turned up here in London working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? What? That's news to us. So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father? In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try to ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. He's still alive and here in London, you say? I never dared even to dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now. Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia. What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes, it's quite miraculous. Wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I don't know how Cosmo's been these past few days. Would it be wrong for us to go and visit him? That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Yujin here, Genjin, Asogi, and myself. Sorry, Asogi and myself. We were the original three. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at UB University at the time, you know, young lady. Yes, grandmother told me. He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy, practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it was an eerie place sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Not more talk of graves. Oh, snap. That's the same place that the professor got shot. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. You remember that Scottish prison governor? Kaiden, his name was? He was a good man. Yes, but then, of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing, and I tried to speak in his defense, but... I wonder if... Okay, wild theory. What if Lord Strongheart is actually the professor? That's what I'm wondering. That's my read. Lord Strongheart is the professor. You went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. It was a lost cause, sadly. Well, you'll excuse us now. Guys, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long. I'll call for the porter then. I'll just wait right here. Zalson's got off and, I'd like to say talk more. I missed that word. But I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep an eye on Suzato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been. Oh no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her after all. I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down. Sorry, what do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my launch study tour in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly, it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Oh, did his wife, Susato's mom, pass? Oh, yeah, Susato-san hinted at something like that. Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. Point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. I had to wonder if his wife died in child labor. And it was then that Seshiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worried about you to leave you behind. Perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So that's what happened in a nutshell. It's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. One other thing, Naruhodo. I may be so bold. I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? Thing is, what's he doing here? Hi, Viv. My thoughts on DGS2 so far? Really good. I love the intricacies of the story, and like it's all weaving together. I made the same Genshin Impact joke that you did apparently, so that's pretty pog. Yeah, this game's really good. I really, really like it. The last case, that final deduction you had to make was really hard, and I made it kind of after a few mistakes. So I was happy that I did ask for a hint because I was like almost 5 hours in the stream. But otherwise, yeah, I do like it. My big read is that Lord Strongheart is actually the professor. Miss Susato. Now then, allow us to take your bags. Allow me to take your bags. I feel like I've seen that guy before. One moment, if you please, Porter. Of course, sir. I've definitely seen this dude before. That machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. I've seen this guy. Oh, he's the, isn't he the guild master of the, busing company? Ah, yes, of course. Oh, how nervous you are. You don't have to be that nervous. I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made Father very happy, I think. What was the favor? Oh, well, I'm pleased then. We were interrupted before. Miss Mikotoba was about to ask me something. So I returned to Baker Street then. I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us. Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. Let's get tea. Let's get tea. Why is the mask on the freaking table? Gosh, what if Kazuma was just here? That would be ridiculous. Wee! What was that? A man screaming in a most unflattering way. Do you think it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I do it anymore. Mon ami. Subsidy's disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Right, you two. You're coming with me now. Down to the clink. No, not in prison. It's dark and damn it. I like it. But the darkness is my friend. I am not scared. Wee! You're always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plant our next dairy and ice. Are you trying to steal from... I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, tough. You'll finish it down the yard. Now get moving. Alright then, Jenny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks, Iris. And thanks. You're a great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? What a great... I love this. I love that they made Gina a detective and that she's actually good at her job. Or mostly good at her job, even if she gets distracted sometimes. I love it. Oh, Susie and Bruno. Hello, Iris. We're home. Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well, that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, other amazing. That was a great as a problems known to man. Why is your hair red? We've already concerned ourselves. I believe some cheese or don't you, my dear fellow? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I brewed a lovely special blend time for tea. Whatever is going on here today. In that case, let us sit and drink now, for I am, in fact, expecting a guest later today. There's so many things going on. Mr. Sholmes, where were the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals. Nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. They are 100% involved in the next case. When the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manners of infractions. When the mood takes you, all manners of infractions. But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out. Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes? But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Ah, I have it. A bungler, that's the word. A good job he's not here to hear you say that. Those redheads have been up to no good. They're trying to steal. I wonder what the men did. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before? Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes? How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere. Possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed. And from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it's been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. AG? AG, you need to leave. You cannot be here. I know the Vikings lost to the Lions and you're here to laugh. Yeah, you're goodbye. Don't watch anymore. I don't blame Johan for doing that, but Johan, please unban Sammy, please. You don't have to ban him. But AG, stop watching. I'm giving you 5 seconds. I'm giving you 5 seconds to leave. This is uber duper spoiler territory. Yeah, you got banned. Yeah, Johan just straight banned him. Okay, bye. 3, 2. Okay, thank you. Bye. Leave. Bye. Okay. You get spoiled. It's not my fault anymore. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? That's fair, Johan. That's fair. Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam, the problem of rent? Huh. But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tussbells only the other day? Pshaw, a large sum. One potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assured you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago... You spent all that money? You spent all that money on a car. Oh my gosh. The answer to man's greatest problem for the coming month, at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me. Let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There's only one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end? Been stabbing me in both eyes. I think we might need another clue before we record the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us. And I'll tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. That case aboard the SS Buria in January, Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? Answer me, Sholmes! The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. They made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. How horrible! It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I'll be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh. I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. The masked Cosmo, or when he was assigned to Lord Van Zieks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside from the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up. Oh. Gotta get back to him, I suppose. But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coolly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? This looks like last week's edition. What's that article circled in red ink there? It's an advertisement column. It says, the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? What's that? Oh, no. I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... It's something on my face. Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. Dang, Susanoo was giving him the look. Like, the look. I don't think I've seen her give Sholmes that look. This has gotta be a scam. Looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable observation. Believe me, I could have seen that here with my eyes shut. So then allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Oh boy. So what is the Red-Headed League? Which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you circled. You noticed it in the paper then. That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was how? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. Listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. Non-conditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? Why? What are they paying people for? That, I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. Surely every redheaded person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. That might be stretching a point, I think. Trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. As luck would have it, one member recently passed away. Wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try to join this place. But correct, I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Mr. Zato. What you see atop my head is neither dye nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight by the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair flame like red. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Amateurs are always hampered by such fears. Oh, I should never have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. Do you mean to say? But of course. For £4 a week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. A degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. Anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street, where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members. What went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk like a coaster's orange burrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front. Jeepers! When the panel interviewer saw me, immediately said, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation? Naturally, I had no choice but to reply. Shh, don't give me away. After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. I turned that pair into the police. Oh dear, what a disaster. Hurley and those two redheads. Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today. Indeed, Mr. Zato, that is correct. I don't know those redheaded gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I'm expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less. Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes. You must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now. Rent, just as I have you in my clutches, redheads. Ha 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 ha. That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel. You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. I don't feel as though you must wait around here if you have other things to do. I do have other things to do. Oh. I kind of figured this would happen, but I just wanted to check. Oh, snap. Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I supplemented the original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. What's what Van Zeke's doing here? There seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say? The place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. Now I must dress in white from head to toe whenever we come here. Now then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I'm right here. Kill me now. Something wrong. Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature. If you're sure, the beads of sweat covering their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because of the daggers you're staring at me with. As you're no doubt aware, the International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier. I hear your father arrived in London earlier today. I hear, ma'am. Oh yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited. I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands, Lord Van Zeek. Someone's dying at that meeting tomorrow. I will attend at once. Gave you a very cool stare as you left, didn't he? I know, but I haven't done anything. Have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand... Rinosuke. No, he's talking about Dr. Sid. Ah. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, You're not. You've done nothing wrong. Dr. Sid's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You didn't concern yourself with it any further. It would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. But Van Zeek is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh, missing. Become a Kazuma-sama now. Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million. 30 million? Are there even that many people in the world? As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital Tokyo is 2 million. I'll be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making, 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries. Sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations. The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques, and in cooperation between police and organizations around the globe will be essential, which is why this landmark first symposium had to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire, in order that Scotland Yard could become the leading investigative organization in the New World. He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It's my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. The disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago experimentally to start with. After Sid at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to full-blown forensic investigation department. And can you not do that now? Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursed in forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say. Unintended repercussions of our trial. Certainly couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though. Of course not. Should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. I might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way. About Lord Van Zeek's apprentice. Yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say. That you and he are old friends. How did he become an apprentice of Lord Van Zeek's in the first place? It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel. Or aboard. Oh my, so he stowed away to get here? Yo, what's up, Keeper? He had no papers identifying him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact that he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was, so I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeek's. That way I could keep an eye on him. But then, why the mask? I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeek's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern apprentice. It would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask. Proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeek's, I have high hopes for his future. By the way, you know where he's gone? No idea? But I believe he's left London for the time being. Oh. He also didn't know that the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean. Genshin Asogi. Sogi, sorry. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was... Ah yes, Genshin Asogi. Professor case 8 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain. They were such awful murders and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon. No one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and it can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London. The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand. Correct. However, it is to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause. What? Supporters of the mass murder? The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a few thinkers in London believed anyway. Right, I see, but it was still murder, wasn't it? Seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bailey. That's eerie. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Aha! Here's my guest now, my latest client, with money to spend. Oh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley. Remember, Iris, we are at the present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating, save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you? Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, please, oh please. Oh, we know you. Please find my husband, he's run away. Beg your pardon. Never mind, a personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam, be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course. What's the matter, Miss Susato? Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently. Yes, now you come to mention it. As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object, simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madam. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence. Of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. Just remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman and lady would be... Oh, me? What I am about to tell you, I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand. These are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me. I see. I can vouch for the gentleman personally. After all, he's hard of hearing. How did I ever get my hopes up? Forgive me for asking, Mrs. Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps? Oh my. Shaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Really, you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. Wishing by the lady, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion. Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week? Ah! Juror number 2. I think I recognize her because she's acting so differently now. Must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean. Pardon? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It's frippery, really nothing more. I like what you started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly and listen. Tell us about your husband, madam. Mr. Vigil, my daily, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here. An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance, at least. How long have you been married? It'll be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably. As it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things. Oh gosh. Your dress is the latest style. Your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct? Well, that's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty. He rather dotes on me. Which would point to the possibility that he has been embroiled in some incident or other. Oh, that is exactly what I fear must have happened, Mr. Sholmes. I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will? Who exactly is your husband's line of work? He's a warder at the prison. A guard? That is somewhat unusual. So, your husband is a prison warder. That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder. Oh, indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation. Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare these dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out. She mean capital punishments? And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory, but for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, made no mention of my husband's word to the neighbors. Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged? Barclay Prison, Mr. Sholmes. Gee, wow, I can't believe this came up. Freaking Mikotoba happened to work at a prison by a gravesite. Wonder if it was Barclay. Bet it was. Really, Barclay? Oh, fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large cemetery just behind it. Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery. No. Lowgate Cemetery. The very place we were discussing in court. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable. Sorry, Mr. Sholmes. I'm afraid you've lost me. Ah, pay no heed, madam. Pay no heed. Private matter. Can't be a coincidence, can it? If they've been married for 15 years, then that means he was the person that carried out the execution, alleged execution of the professor. So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing? Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday. That's recent. Truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him not to return home at night. But this is different. For him to not make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, what could have happened to you? Whatever could have happened. My dear Miss Vigil, please calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police? Why, naturally, but sadly, he refused to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day. I was asked to wait patiently at home. In truth, Mrs. Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. There's no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I think only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it. Yet my eternal gratitude, I shall pay any sum you care to mention. Is he going to put the sweets right in your landlady's purse? That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Mrs. Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation. Oh, please report to me when you have good news, sir. Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report, I'm quite sure. So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes. Good news should be delivered early, I always say. Be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Thank you. Now, allow me to show you to the door. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. How do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure? I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear on it. I merely give the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. And by that time I successfully locate Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Oh, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that. Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery. Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated. The professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Run along to the prison and see what you can clean. Would you? It's the prison governor you want. Not that the man is equally worried. Aren't you going yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly have seen that with his hair. Didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was a quite different matter. Just leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Of course you are. Well. Barclay Prison on the outskirts of London, backing onto a lonely burial ground. Its 4 high outer walls loom quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. A guillotine clock? What? This place is full of hardened criminals. I can remember the last time a civilian was down here. And you didn't want to talk to an inmate, but to me. You know who I am? I'm the governor, Barry Kaiden. I've heard this name. We've heard the name Kaiden. Oh, yes, it's a pleasure. I'm Renosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. And an Easterner, I see. Does that mean... Yes, I'm a visiting student of law from the Empire of Japan. Japan? Did you say Japan? Yes? Well, there's no any of your kind in here, laddie. Maybe you should try the prison next door, eh? I didn't notice another prison next door, sir. Anyway, we came to ask you some questions about... I didn't like to be so direct, but... I have no intention of speaking with the likes of you, suspicious-looking Easterners. I'll get to my hair. So she finds out we're from Japan. He reacts like this. That surely means... I think it's because of the professor case. Think so too? And years ago, Genshin Nosoji, also known as the professor, was incarcerated at this prison. After his execution, he apparently re-emerged from his grave in the cemetery behind the prison. I might have known. You're sniffing around to boot that case, aren't you? Your agents, a part of the professor of the Great Web, no doubt. No, not at all. We're just... Get gone with you before I punch your lights out. We're going. Clearly, the ghost of that killer still haunts this place. I'm not gonna get anywhere here unless they can somehow prove to this man that there's nothing suspicious about us. Governor Kaiden? What are you thinking, Mrs. Otto? Just sure that name came up in conversation recently somewhere. I was wondering if whoever mentioned it might have some ideas to help us. We've definitely heard the name. I have the same feeling. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. I think the judge knows him. Wasn't it the judge? That's Professor Mikotobo over there. Hi, hello, you two. I was just taking a moment to catch up on the world now that I'm unpacked. Where's Jajioku? Oh, yes, he's not the relaxing sort. He's taking himself out to pay his respects to all the legal bigwigs. I mean, just arrived in the country today? Goodness, he is full of energy. Professor, you mentioned something before about how you know the prison governor at Barclay Prison. Governor Kaiden, you mean? So it is the same man. Father, we must speak with the governor. But he refused to talk to us. He said we were suspicious Easterners. Well, I'm sure if I accompanied you, it would be a very different story. Oh, would you? That would be wonderful if you have time now. Sadly, as you can see, I'm very busy at the moment. Busy drinking coffee on a comfortable settee. Now, I have a lot to prepare for tomorrow, you know. Oh, sorry. I said that out loud, did I? Mikotobos are alarmingly good at reading people's thoughts. Or could it be that you, Naruhodos, are alarmingly bad at hiding your thoughts? Let's not fall out now, I have an idea. What's he writing on that piece of paper? Here's a letter of introduction for you. Hopefully when he sees my name, he'll change his tune. Thank you. Good luck then. Kick ass. Oh, barricading. Oh. Man, he has some nice handwriting. Jeez, this dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. Is it just me, or does that make me sound extremely untrustworthy? I should at least call you a nice young man. I'm really not sure that would help. Why did he... Look at this rip. Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. That's just gross. First class cabin. Cabin 1. The Okoma Department, 11th September. London, arrival 1st of November. That's about Professor Mikotobo and Judge Jioku came on in Japan, isn't it? Yes, I think it was called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France for a night before finally arriving in Dover. I think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Berea. His name's Terry Barricade? Oh my gosh, wow. Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary, and I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I mention it? Or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? You just cast your eyes over this, Governor Caden. What's this, then? You cannot pull the wool over my eyes. You get for another Japanese student. Miko Toba? That young jock from the forensics laboratory? That Miko Toba? Yes, exactly, him. Oh dear, perhaps I should have said something sooner. I'm Yuji Mikotoba's daughter, Suzato. Jings, you're the young man's daughter? And you didn't think to mention that before? I do apologize. Aye, well, you'd best take a seat then. Can I offer you a cup of tea, perhaps? And didn't forget to try one of these wee handcuff biscuits. Of course, Joanne. I can't wait to see your tier list. Your father's influence is nothing short of amazing. I'm bitterly regretting not announcing who I was from the outset, though. Now that ticket's a piece of evidence that we're gonna need. What can I do for you, Hen? Well, we're currently investigating the case. One of your warders, you see, he's gone missing. Missing? That's right. It's surely been reported to you as well, being the prison governor. I haven't heard of nothing of the sort. There's no missing persons in my prison. Oh, but how can that be? It's Mr. Daily Vigil, your chief warder? Eh? Vigil? That's right. His wife came to us and asked us to investigate his disappearance. Check the part about him only going missing yesterday for now. Does that mean something to him? Vigil kind of has to tell us what you know, sir. Aye, of course. Before we do that, I want to examine everything. This grandfather clock is fitted with a terrifying blade that keeps dropping down. Model on the guillotine, a French execution device. You might have heard of it. And yes, before you ask, it can chop. Heads off, you mean? Papers, no carrots and parsnips and so forth. Oh. There's a large carrot at the bottom there in the morn. By evening, it'll have been cut clean in two. Well, the blade must have an almost indescribable edge on it then. Those either all former governors of Barclay Prison, are they? Either that or former inmates who the governor has sent to the gallows. Oh dear, they all have such severe expressions. I really couldn't deny either possibility. Especially the one on the extreme right. The person goes beyond severe into a whole new territory. That one's me. Is it a prerequisite for the job, perhaps? Having a severe expression, I mean? Of course it's not. Although, it is taken into consideration. A lot. An axe, a hunting rifle, and 4 pairs of handcuffs. That's a daunting collection. There's a story behind every one of those. You mean the rifle was a famous killer's murder weapon, and the axe was used by the infamous executioner? Handcuffs were used to immobilize a fierce warlord beast when he was arrested? I think you're in the realms of fantasy, not Mr. Naruhodo. Not those kind of stories, Jimmy. That axe was the one I used to chop down the cherry tree at my house, Mrs. Caden. Wasn't best pleased. Huh. Those on the left are the ones I caught my first burglar with back when I was a bobby. Those are a little different to those you imagined, I think, weren't they? Yes, my relief, and in some small way, my disappointment. Never have expected to find a parrot in a prison. It must be the governor's pet. Given where we are, it's hard not to see the poor creature as a prisoner. Lemute didn't kill me. Has the bird learned to mimic the plaintive cries of the inmates in the cells? Och no, he was one of 3 siblings, you see. Slug calls out ends of his 2 brothers like that all the time. Right. Lemute didn't kill me. Aye, I hear you, laddie. You want your dinner, eh? Didn't you do it? Oops. Very large cabinet full of papers, isn't it? Oh, it was this. It's like an inmate register. Look. And all the files are in alphabetical order. 50 years worth of records of Barclays inmates. Whether or no they left alive after serving their term. All the details about the crimes they committed are recorded in there, like an epitaph, you might say. Record of crimes and punishments? How dispiriting. And yet, this man seems to be enjoying tea and biscuits as he talks about it. Nice deer head, dude. The deer had been staring at me for a while now. It has. Poor thing can't fit through the small hole in the wall, but it can't get its head back out again now either. Give me a woefully imploring look. It's not real, Mr. Naruhodo. It's stuffed. What? I mean, yes, of course it was. For a moment, I thought it was another assassin sneaking in via the ventilator. I don't like to say, but I think perhaps you need to reread The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. We understand that Mr. Vigil is a chief warder here at the prison. Aye, that he was. Strong sense of responsibility and dedicated to the job, no doubt about it. He's a fine warder. Was. Sorry, did you say was? Aye. He doesn't work here no more. He left the job. Oh my. What was this exactly? Is a question. When was it about? It cannot have been much less than 10 years ago now. What? 10 years ago? You stopped working here 10 years ago? Aye, as I mind it. Do you... No, Ken, I haven't heard the fellow's name in all that time. Don't worry if he's gone missing, though. Wow, I wonder if he was around for the professor. But Mrs. Vigil made no mention of it. I think perhaps Mr. Naruhodo. That is, his wife simply doesn't know. I think she's unaware that he no longer works here. Governor Kaiden, can you tell us what happened? For Kaiden? Why did Mr. Vigil give up his job here? That's important, is it? Yes, I believe it may be. What do you think of Mr. Naruhodo? I can't help wondering, given that it was 10 years ago. Ah, exactly when the professor was being held at this prison. Mr. Vigil actually resigned from the position of chief warder 10 years ago, you're telling us? What happened to make him leave the job? Actual fact, he didn't leave the job willingly. He had no choice in the matter. You mean he was dismissed? It was after a particular walk. A walk? Alright, that's our word for it. A walk to the gallows. An execution. It's the job of the chief warder to prepare the gallows tree, oversee any executions, you see. Only Vigil did something unthinkable on that last walk he was manning. What did he do? I'm sorry, but I cannot reveal that information. He let the professor go. I can tell you that it's very rare for a chief warder to be relieved of his post. Why would Mrs. Vigil know about it? She appears to be under the impression that her husband still works here. I wouldn't ken anything about that, or knew anything about that, I'm afraid. Can you perhaps answer one more question about the circumstances of his dismissal? And what would that be, Hen? The last execution that Mr. Vigil was responsible for overseeing. Was it by any chance the professor's? I'm sorry, I really am. I'm not at liberty to answer that. I see. My father came to Britain all those years ago in order to study forensic medicine. You seem to have been well acquainted. The dead room, the prison, and the cemetery have a lot to do with one another. After all, they need fresh corpses for forensic research. Do you know? Yes, I can imagine. The advancement of medical science isn't always particularly palatable. Your father looked in the laboratory just on the far side of the graveyard, in the basement of St. Sinner's. Still in use today. St. Sinner's? That's come up before, I'm sure. Yes, that's already been there. Ikutoba and I Have to use the ride in a carriage together and negotiate terms for more fresh material, I suppose. We used to sit in here for hours and gab on about dissection and all that sorts. Ooh, takes me back. Bought a tea and played a cuff biscuits, of course. How charming. There's a good fella, your father. Reliable, dead set on his work. But I'm afraid I'll never understand you Japanese. The Genshin no Soji, I suppose. Well, I cannot tell you anything else. Thank you so much for your time, Governor. Oh, one moment before your way, then. Sure, I have it here somewhere. Ah, found it. Here, take this as a wee souvenir for your visit to the prison. What is it? That's Vigil's dismissal notice. It's 10 years old now, of course. Oh my, are you sure? Aye, there's no trouble at all. It's not the original mind. Thank you very much, Governor Kaidan. Well, in return, do me a favor and never come back here. That case is closed. We ought to return to Baker Street for the time being. I agree. We need to report back to Mr. Schultz what we found out about Mr. Vigil. Will we tell Mrs. Vigil, I wonder? Chief Warder Daily Vigil is relieved of his post with immediate effect to violated Clause 132 of Her Majesty's Code of Conduct for Prisons. All rights to redundancy pay and other financial benefits are fully revoked. Aiding and abetting the escape of the prison convict just prior to his execution. Details of this escape are still being investigated. Full cooperation with increase will be expected. Indications are that the jailbreak plot was conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. It's believed that the convict engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure of information regarding these negotiations will be demanded. Dang. All right, prediction: Sholmes' hair is back to normal. We're back. Hello, you two. Thought you'd be back before long, so I baked some scones for us all. Or maybe I should say not red anymore. Yeah. Greetings, my dear fellows. You've returned a good deal sooner than I was anticipating. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Say nothing, your thoughts are written all over your faces in any case. Turns out it may have been advisable to test my hair color restoration tonic before application. Oh my. Pray, tell me, what of our warder friend? Have you garnered some new information? Oh, yes, something very surprising, in fact. It's not a patch in your hair, to be honest. Well, it certainly isn't, but still, we discovered that. Sholmes! Drop everything, Sholmes. This is more important. Gina? I can't Adam and Eve it. What's happened? Clearly a very grave matter indeed, for Miss Lestrade made no mention of my hair whatsoever. It's the boss. What do you mean? Inspector Gregson? The boss is... He's... Ah! No! They just found his body shot with a pistol. What? Inspector Gregson was murdered? Ah, Gregsy. Come in, my dear girl. Tell us the whole story. You're serious, Gina? Inspector Gregson he was really shot? I don't know much about what happened. Maybe he survived? They're still there, investigating the scene. Where did this take place? A little rented room in a building full of flats on Fresno Street, the outskirts of town, nowhere near his home. He's perhaps investigating a case then. Thing is, no one at the yard knows nothing about no case around there. How strange. Boss he was so good to me. I know I ain't up to much yet, but one day I was gonna show him. I'd make a proper detective. Jenny. Who did this? Do you have any idea who the culprit is? They got him already. Already? They've caught the shooter so soon? The witness reported something was going on, and the boys got straight down there and took care of him. Gosh, what if it's just straight up daily vigil? It'd be crazy. Who? What awful person did this? I still can't believe it myself. What do you mean you can't believe it yourself? That's not vigil. It was the Reaper? Like Lord Van Zeeks? Or like the Reaper? Wait a minute. You don't mean... They arrested Lord Van Zeeks for it? Not a chance. He's innocent. Lord Van Zeek just killed Gregson? What? Are you quite sure, Miss Lestrade? It's Baron Van Zeeks the police have arrested. I saw him with my own eyes in the interview room at the yard. I don't believe it. There were witnesses, and they're all saying it was him. You mean there were actually multiple witnesses? This is a setup. They heard the gunshot, apparently. I'm having Ace Attorney 1-4 flashbacks. When our lot got to the scene, there's only the boss and that Reaper bloke in the room. There's no way Lord Van Zeeks would have taken Gregson's life. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it either. What is going on? Thank you for informing us, Miss Lestrade. This really is most terrible news. I'm dreadfully sorry. What are you saying sorry for? You didn't do nothing. Well, anyway, taking a cab over to the scene right now. Please come and all, as soon as you can. You've got to help. The detective's lot to appear wherever some sinister plot is unfolded. Little wonder we all look haggard. Sometimes these things are almost too much for the nerves. For Sholmes. What use is there to be a great detective if I fail to see something like this coming? How could I let this happen to Gregson? To Gregson! Mr. Naruhodo, I shall leave at once to begin my investigations. Of course, yes. We will too. It'd be helpful if you could talk to Mr. Reaper and see what you can glean. I'm sure you were intending to do so anyway. Until later, then. Inspector Gregson dead? Lord Van Zeek's arrested? Bruno, Susie? I've called you a handsome. It's waiting outside. Thanks, Iris. Shall we, Miss Susato? Yes. What the heck? There he is, Lord Van Zeek's behind bars. It's true, he was arrested. He's sitting with his back to the wall, reading something. I don't think he's noticed us. Lord Van Zeeks. Fancy meeting you here. The last place on Earth I'd like to be, with the last person on Earth I'd like to see. I couldn't very well not come. We heard what happened, that you, Inspector Gregson, was... Go home. This has nothing to do with you, but... Forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but I must disagree. Inspector Gregson was very helpful to us on a number of occasions. We're indebted to him. At the very least, we owe it to him to find out the truth about his death. You must help us with our investigations, please. Really nothing I can tell you. Or were you just reading the back of the cell there? Is something related to the case? This? The Yard isn't quite so cavalier with this information as to share case details with the suspect. This is a letter from an old acquaintance. Who might that be? Someone you know, as it happens. Albert Harebrain. Oh. And I would like to read my correspondence in peace. So let's get this over with, shall we? What is it you want to know? Strange. I mean, let's face it, Lord Van Zeeks never minces his words. They seem to have less bite than usual somehow. Can you at least tell us about your side of the story, Lord Van Zeeks? What happened? How much do you already know? You know that the inspector was shot dead in a small rented room on Fresno Street, and that you were found there by the police when they arrived on the scene and immediately were arrested. You're told there was nobody else in the room and that some witnesses heard the gunshot. And you're well informed. There's really nothing I can add. Truth is, I don't know what happened myself. The gunshot? Obviously you didn't fire the gun, did you? I'm not in the habit of shooting the people I work alongside. I also heard the noise, however. Before I had a chance to investigate, I was apprehended by the arriving officers. He doesn't actually know what happened? I might ask, what were you doing in that place to begin with? I don't need to answer that. Oh. After all, you're not representing me. Going to need a lawyer, though. Who is going to be representing you in court, Lord Van Zeeks? Anyone other than you, I should imagine. Huh. It's gonna be us. Would I be right in assuming that you have no representation as yet? Defense lawyers shy away from any trial involving the Reaper, as I'm sure you know. But this is different. In my career, of all the defendants I've prosecuted, only 19 have ever been acquitted. Of them, 16 subsequently died in mysterious circumstances. Questions will be asked now. Surely not. I assure you, no defense lawyer will want to touch me with the end of a barge pole. Didn't actually have anything to do with those people's deaths, did you? It's been 10 years now that I've been known as the Reaper of the Bailey. Believe me, nobody wants to know the true identity of this killer any more than I. However, these things may come to a head before I have the chance to uncover the truth about that. What do you mean by that? Into the trial, Professor Harebrain was supposed to go straight back to Germany, I thought. So to inform me of his safe arrival at home. I arranged his passage by sea and rail. It's a relief, I must say. He should now be beyond the reaches of the Reaper. Because the Reaper doesn't follow people abroad, you mean? Yes, so it seems. Your stupid little Nipponese friend, for example. You told me he was keeping well in Japan when I inquired the other day. That's right. He's an author now, happily working in Tokyo. Professor Harebrain is safely back in Germany now. He is. So, it appears our conversation has run dry. There was a 2-second silence, that's all. Well, in any event. Excuse me now. I wouldn't like to detain you. I was wondering, Lord Van Zeeks, if you'd like, I'd be happy to advocate for you. You trust me, do you? Yes. I've heard you speak many times in court. I've seen how you treat people. So I'm quite sure that you would never have taken another's life. It's just my feelings can't be used as evidence in a court of law, sadly. Very gracious offer. However, I trust no one. What? Not the police, not the judiciary, and not you Nipponese. But please, I have no intention of engaging your services. The chasm between us is just too wide and too deep, it seems. I'd appreciate it if you don't visit again, then neither of us will waste any more time. Perhaps we need to dig a little deeper. Find out more about Lord Van Zieks and what happened to Inspector Gregson. Dang, sad. First November, room on Fresno Street. It is an out of the part of London. I doubt many people find their way down this back street. This dust-ridden rented old room is where it happened then? This is where poor Inspector Gregson lost his life. Yes. He's already hard at work investigating, it seems. I don't see Mr. Sholmes anywhere, though. Perhaps his investigations have taken him elsewhere. Wait, what do you think you're doing there? One of them drawers has got to be taken right so you can look underneath them all. Want the space above the ceiling checked. Don't forget to look inside the chimney stack, too. Blimey, ain't you ever gonna give over a host looking for dough when the owners are out of town? She's obviously got some unique investigative techniques she wants everyone to adopt. Oh, so you turned up at last. Mind you, I ain't been here long myself. Hello again, Gina. Chubbs has only just slept. You're lucky you missed that. He won, prancing around in here, pulling at stuff, flicking that as if he just creppered. Just investigating already, you mean? Yeah, he didn't stop to say nothing to no one, not even me. Gina, we mind if we investigated too? Listen, Odo, you're a lawyer, right? Yes. Why? Well, you're not thinking of trying to help that Reaper bloke, are you? Oh, poor Gina. She's never going to forget, is she? A trial will haunt her forever. Gina, if you don't mind me saying, if Lord Van Zieks really is responsible for this crime, he will be duly and fairly judged in court. I suppose you're right, yeah. Go on, the note. Get investigating. I want to know the truth about what really happened here. Thank you, Gina. Investigation time. Oh, it's a photograph stand. I suppose it must be a picture of one of Inspector Gregson's family members. What's the matter? Your eyes look like they're about to pop out of your head. They are. Look, Mr. Naruhodo, quickly. Why is she here? I met her this morning. It's Mrs. Vigil. This makes no sense. Why would there be a picture of Mrs. Vigil in here? Is this the Lodge of Daly, who is actually the Reaper? To be frank, I don't think I've ever been more stumped. I'm sorry to say, I have no idea either. Oh my god. Empty fireplace makes the room feel colder than what otherwise, doesn't it? Stick with dust, look. I think it would be fair to say it hasn't been used in a very long time. In other words, whoever lived in this room must have been extremely hardy in cold weather. Or nobody lived here at all and merely visited when the occasion arose. I wouldn't like to say which is more likely. No, that's right. One or the other. This looks like some sort of notice board or something. We have to look covered in scraps of paper. Mr. Naruhodo, look, this, you mean It's an autopsy report, isn't it? These are case notes here. The details of prison inmates. Yes, in fact, they're all the sort of documents that only a detective can normally acquire. What on earth went on in this room? Some old newspaper cuttings. Ah, and this one here. Oh, yes, the advertisement, you mean? The Red-Headed League. But why? What's that doing here? Whoever occupied this room was clearly interested in it for some reason. Ever since we came in here, I can't take my eyes off this thing. Is that a wig? Funnily enough, neither can I. It's a hairpiece, isn't it? It is, it is. Bright red hairpiece. I suppose the fact that it's right there next to where the body was found means we have to accept that Inspector Gregson wore wigs, does it? It's a flame color red, too. Yes, that's a color we've come across very recently elsewhere, isn't it? Exactly, this is a vital clue, I'm sure of it. I don't think it belonged to Gregson. So I suppose this is where the victim... That's right, the rope is laid around the body to show exactly how it was found. Poor Inspector Gregson himself has already been taken away. He'll probably be under Dr. Sitt's scalpel by now, if not for what happened last week. The shape of the rope, it would appear that the inspector was curled up in a ball. Good, alright, Mr. Naruhodo. You look like you've just seen a ghost. No, it's just a rope, but, well, it conjures up quite a terrifying image, that's all. See what that blood stain next to it. Oh, I do understand. In some ways, what we picture in our minds can be even worse in reality. Oh, she's not so strong, though. She's taking this far better than I am. This is presumably the murder weapon, then. What's this thing on the bottom? Oh my, is it real, I suppose? I think so. Guns are so rare in Japan, I really know very little about them. There's one way to know if Mr. Naruhodo fire a shot. No, no, no. If I did that, I'd be looking for a skiller to represent me in court. Especially if we just ask someone who might know, I think. What's this? Would appear to be a little model policeman. Rather charming, isn't it? In a way. Seen it on the floor here? Do you think it would belong to Inspector Gregson? It's a little hard to imagine Lord Van Ziek's playing with something like this. Only about 8 centimeters tall. Could have fallen out of someone's pocket, I suppose. Maybe we should record it as evidence just in case. Yes, I agree. It is rather delightful after all, in a way. Excuse me. You're looking down on us from the great beyond, Inspector? Don't worry. We'll look after things at the yard. You have some deep thoughts there. Oh. Excuse me? Sorry, sir. Can't see a thing, sir. Too many tears, sir. Right. I better leave you to your work then. Well, this is weird. Top of one of the candles in the candle has been completely blown off. Yes. Black spatter on the wall behind. Look. Suppose if a bullet had hit it, it does seem likely that the bullet hit the candle. When first passed through the inspector's body? Now that wax on the wall looks like blood to me. Somebody's very haphazardly nailed these boards over the broken glass, haven't they? You couldn't even really call it a window anymore. Well, if you remember the window in Mr. Natsumi's room, that was totally blocked up with bricks. It does at least let in some light, so you could say nothing more about it. Starting to feel even more sorry for Mr. Natsumi now. Excuse me. Yo, what's up, Jams? I'm glad you made it home safe after a 9-hour drive. Hope you can rest up and relax for the evening. Oh, Inspector, sir. Poor man can't possibly be able to focus on investigating when he's so upset. I believe I have seen everything I can for now. Which means let's talk. Gina, what was Inspector Gregson doing here in the first place? That's what I want to know. It's what? Half years and I got out of the clink. So I decided to give up me dime and become a detective instead. Yes, Mr. Sholmes twisted the inspector's arm to agree to you to take you on as an apprentice, didn't he? Something like that, I think. Anyway, point is, I didn't really know much about Boss till then. Turns out he's a bit of a legend at the yard. Goodness, really? They say he's managed to solve some really tricky case, just like that. He did. Yep, and ever since then, started going out on all sorts of investigations, but always on his own. No one else at the yard even knows what half the cases he's working on are, apparently. That's not how it's supposed to work, is it? What was a legendary inspector doing in a dingy little room like this? I know he had a lot of respect for the Reaper and all. I like where that landed him. Respect for the Reaper? In what way? Heard him say as much. I'll take my hat off to that fella, were his words. Not how the general public feels, is it? Most people terrified of the Reaper. Yeah, Boss said that's exactly why he's respected the bloke. I didn't realize Gregson held the Reaper in quite high regard. He said something else to me and all, that I didn't need to worry about the Reaper, because he only goes after people who are bad. It kind of set my mind at ease when he said that. Right. I'm gonna miss his chips, his fish and chips eating. Aww. What is this place then? Does anyone live here? Apparently it's being rented by some cove called Hugh Boone. Hugh Boone? Sort of fear today, gone tomorrow name. That is it? Yeah, he's what's called unidentified person. We haven't been able to get in touch with him. I see. Well, judging from appearances, I'd have to say this place hasn't been lived in for a long time, if ever. Right, all of that's in the yard pile down and get stuck in the investigation. Too little here, no one know what to do with themselves. I do wonder. Yes, Mrs. Otto, well, maybe that this Hugh Boone is in fact Inspector Gregson himself. What? How could that be? Well, if he was investigating on his own, it's quite possible that this was in fact some kind of secret office of his. I never even considered that. Nice work, Sis. We're actually following along a inquiry like that ourselves. You are. If you look around the room, you'll see there's a few things that hint at it. Really investigate this place in detail. I see that's where the poor inspector was found. Over there. Yeah, that's right. They said it was a single bullet what did him in. The bullet went right through him. And he shot that candle to the other wall. Oh yeah, it's just blowing one of the candles apart completely. And the gun uses down the floor. It's a Reaper's in it. No denying that. What? Really? How do you know that? Take it easy. I don't know what to do with myself when you stare at me with them big white eyes. Well, saying what I've heard, I don't know much about guns myself, but there's some bigwig lawman or whatever who said so. Why don't you ask him? Bigwig lawman, is it? Anyway, Fresno State runs along that window there. There were some street sellers just as who heard the gunshot. Oh, but I don't recall seeing anybody outside. Yeah, they've all been taken down to the yard for questioning, that's why. We're talking about yard's legendary inspector here, after all. We'll be getting grilling. Do you think we might be able to speak with those street sellers ourselves? I doubt it. Lads at the yard will just want to know what you're sneaking around for. You'll be up for grilling and all. We can't interview the witnesses then. Shame. There's some black marks here, look. Yeah, yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks. Perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this one candle that's been cracked in half, it seems. I think you might be right. Why is it so much taller? The firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them. The charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. Head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled. So somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. So twisting it around and around too, for fun. What's that? It appears to be some sort of key. It's tiny though, it couldn't have been a key for a door, not at that size. What's the key for? Must have been the murder weapon. Oh my, it is real, I suppose. I think so. Because it's so rare in Japan, I really know very little about them. Perhaps someone more familiar with firearms could shed a light on things here. Big wig lawman, huh? I was wondering what the underside of a hairpiece looks like. It doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruto. You guys want to see what lies beneath, don't you? I'm not sure that's quite how I'd put it. It needs lots of bird lime to keep it in place on your head. It doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean. It might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think? Wonder if Strong Heart's here. Talk about that gun. Be a good time. I'm taking an express train back to London. I can hear Lord Strongheart, can you? Yes, it sounds as though he's talking to someone. It's Kazuma! Is everything in place? I had a private compartment on the train so I could check all the paperwork. It's Kazuma-sama. Ah, your timing is impeccable. It is? No doubt you have heard the sickening news about the Reaper's latest devilry. Yes? I'm sure you don't believe it, of course, though, Lord Strongheart. That Lord Van Zieks could have done such a thing to the Inspector Gregson. I believe only in the facts, and the facts in this case point to one thing. The unavoidable accusal of Lord Van Zieks for this crime. We must bring charges against the Reaper for taking the life of our legendary detective. Oh no, surely not. It's a really regrettable situation. Tomorrow, the forensic science symposium finally begins. At the very least, though, we can show the world our justice system swift and equitable processes. Does that mean the trial is tomorrow? Precisely. In fact, this is a fine opportunity for introductions. Kazuma! Ah, but of course, you're already acquainted, aren't you? Mr. Sogi here will be present at tomorrow's proceedings. Leading the prosecution. Wait, what? Kazuma? Why is he prosecuting? I'm sure you're aware he's a very capable practitioner of law. Yeah, he's a defense lawyer, though. Kazuma-sama, prosecutor. Whoa, why is he prosecuting? I'm sure you can imagine that tomorrow's trial will be closely followed all over London. In fact, no, people all over the Empire will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. No salvation for anyone in the trial prosecuted by the Reaper of the Bailey. And now, Reaper himself must stand in the dock. Right, so the public wants answers about the Reaper. Answers about how and why those who escaped conviction subsequently died mysterious deaths. Lord Van Zieks firmly denies any involvement in such matters. There have been thorough investigations that have proven him to be innocent. That's certainly true. Or it has been, at least. Until now. Ah. No. Tomorrow's trial marks the start of a new chapter in our country's rare judicial history. So Cosmo will be prosecuting tomorrow? That's right, but he's a defense lawyer, Lord Strongheart. Accomplished young practitioners cannot pick and choose their roles. Imagine what it will mean for the prosecution to know the strategy commonly employed by the defense. Devastating combination, wouldn't you agree? I'm gonna have to face Kazuma in court. That's actually pretty sick. No doubt that Kazuma will be razor sharp as a prosecutor. We're representing Lord Van Zeeks. We're gonna be representing Lord Van Zeeks. Like Kazuma-sama, there are surely many other highly skilled prosecutors in Great Britain. It was a personal request. I asked to be assigned to the trial. You asked for this? But why? So because it'll all become clear tomorrow. I'm guessing you intend to stand for the defense, don't you? Although the Reaper appears to be turning down all offers of representation. Such a personal request would have been upheld. It seems unprecedented. Quite exceptional, in fact. You are quite right, Miss Mikotoba. Trial's trial will be unprecedented and exceptional in every way. After all, the accused is one of Britain's greatest prosecutors, the pride of the Empire. It would be unwise to give the public a reason to perceive it as a judiciary closing ranks. That's why you're happy to let a foreigner handle the prosecution. Ryunosuke, let's see how your skills have been honed. After practicing law in this land for so many months? Kazuma, I don't understand why you're being so hostile to me now. This isn't going to end well, my friend. Oh yeah, so you noticed that there was a gun at the scene of the Inspector Grex's death. Do you know if it belongs to Lord Van Zeeks? Maybe a question for the lead detective investigating the scene. Well, the thing is, she wasn't sure, so she told me I should ask somebody higher up who might know. That's right, Mr. Naruhodo. Be direct. Certainly a motto that's issued to all personnel involved in law enforcement, yes, which concludes prosecutors, as I'm sure you can imagine. In that case, it actually belonged to the victim? No, Gregson had his gun on his person. About Lord Van Zeeks, he claims it's currently not in his possession. What? According to his story, he lost it. In short, it's more than a little suspicious. Just because the gun in question is the same type as the defense is no proof that it's actually his. No, of course not. Nevertheless, the situation is grave for Lord Van Zeeks. Did I present the gun and see what happens? Dang. Sorry for all the worry it caused you, but it'll be alright now. Has your memory completely returned? Yes, completely. I remember everything. Including what I was coming here to do. Right. Kazuma-sama. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you alive and well like this. But how did you come to be here in London when you were suffering from amnesia? It was the voice this past year. I've been hearing it in my head constantly, saying the same thing over and over. Go to London, that's where your destiny awaits. A voice? Why? Whoa, 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 whoa. A voice. A voice. Sorry for what's happened. That's uber. That's uberty-duberty-duber suspicious. Is it? I bet it's. I don't even think he's lying. I think it's something with the voice itself is weird. There's something that won't return to the way it was before. Huh? What do you mean? I'm a prosecutor now. I'm sure our paths will cross again very soon. Doesn't look like we're going to glean much more here. Well, thank you very much, Lord Strongheart. Remember, tomorrow's trial will go down in our Empire's history. There's as much you could learn from the public gallery. Sorry to have taken so much of your time. We'll see ourselves out.
Hold it!
Before you go, Ryunosuke. Oh, what is it, Kazuma? I just wanted to thank you. Kazuma-sama, what? You took my determination to heart and brought it with you over the ocean in my steed. And you carried out my role to perfection. You always were intent on studying British law in order to change your own justice system. It was your dream, and Miss Naruhodo didn't want that to die with you. Yes, but I had another purpose for coming here. Oh? I actually have a favor to ask, which is, this trial will be prosecuted tomorrow. I'd like you to be there to see how it ends. Right in front of me. As a defense counsel. What's this all about? I know you have what it takes. But Lord Van Zieks would never put his fate in my hands. On the contrary, he recognizes your talent. He does. It's not easy to see behind the facade sometimes. Here, have a look at this. Lord Van Zieks and Inspector Gregson were probably with his brother Clint. The photograph that must have been taken some time ago by the look of it. Who's the third person? Probably Clint. Displayed very prominently in the detective's office. In Gregson's office, you mean? Yes, what I'm trying to say is if you really think you can trust the Reaper, you might find that some straight talking makes him take a different view. Take it. I don't understand. Why are you giving me this? Just hurry, Ryunosuke. Visiting hours at the prison are almost over. What are you doing, Kazuma? Okay, I guess we'll just go to prison. Or Van Zieks are reading that letter. I've been gone quite some time, though. Is he an incredibly slow reader, or is it an incredibly long letter? I might even be able to read English faster than he can. I was intending to ignore you entirely. I can't turn a deaf ear to such an insulting Nipponese. Oh, sorry. I didn't think you'd hear that. I had the case notes brought to me in secret. I was reading them to pass the time. We heard that your trial is set for tomorrow. Which is none of your business. You found a lawyer? How many times must I reiterate the same thing? This has nothing to do with you. In other words, no. We were just talking to Lord Strongheart, and the prosecutor for your trial has been decided. I expect nothing less, though I have no idea who it is. It's going to be Kazuma Asogi. Asogi! Made the color drain from his face. Huh. Well then. It seems I'm going to have to engage in conversation with you again after all. "10 years ago, my older brother, who was a director of prosecution at the time, was murdered. Killer, as you know, was a visiting student from the Far East. Not a single day goes by when I don't curse the name of Asogi. Genshin Asogi was Kazuma-sama's father. What cruel twist of fate is this now, 10 years later? Man sons to crucify me in some kangaroo court. Still understand why Lord Strongheart apprenticed Kazuma to you. What he does, no doubt he knew of the young man's true identity from the outset. What could he have been hoping to achieve? Let's not forget that it was only 8 days ago that Kazuma recovered from his amnesia. Our Lord Strongheart assigned this trial to somebody like that. Asogi. That name is the very epitome of my bane. The bane that is you, Nipponese. Right, your hatred for all is Japanese. I know I've just been appointed as prosecutor when it happened 10 years ago. My brother, Clint, the director of prosecutions, was hunting down a mass murderer. so-called professor. Assigned to the investigation as his partner was a certain visiting student dispatched from Scotland Yard, and that was Genshin Isogi. Exactly. I developed a deep respect for the man. He seemed noble-minded and chivalrous to the extreme to me, but none of us saw the true nature of the man. Oh my. This is a song. I lost everything when it happened. My esteemed brother, the people I believed in, and many semblance of right prevailing over wrong. How awful. Avenge my brother, I prosecuted in Isogi's trial. I wouldn't ordinarily have been allowed. I beleaguered the Ascry prosecutor until he consented. Belligered. What do you mean by the Ascry prosecutor? Man in charge of the professor case inquiry, Lord Mael Stronhart. What? Lord Stronhart, he was a highly accomplished prosecutor. He agreed to relinquish the trial to me and act as my advisor instead. Since that time, he's the one person whom I felt indebted. Who's probably actually the professor, in my theory. I'm sure he must have seen your zeal for the case and recognized your potential as a prosecutor. Anyway, time passed, but then earlier this year, who should arrive in London but you? And of all things, as a lawyer. I felt your animosity the first time I ever faced you in the courtroom. Your obvious deep loathing of us Japanese. I kept telling myself it was illogical. For so many years, that hatred has festered inside me. I no longer control it. I can understand why now I know the history. In the same way that I've long felt the Nipponese to be the bane of my life. The Kazuma Isogi, I am the bane of his. The Reaper who sent his father to the gallows. He's looking for revenge, and he intends to take it in the court tomorrow. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I think Kazuma intends to expose a deeper truth to that case. Greg's transfer to the Paris Police Prefecture had finally been arranged for the coming month. He'll never make it to France now. It's a tragedy. Yes. I think if he did mention something about that, didn't he? I wonder, does it happen often? Being transferred internationally, I mean? It's the first time I've ever encountered it. Oh. The Paris police welcoming an English detective is almost inconceivable. I can't imagine what kind of magic Gregson must have worked to put that arrangement in place. The demonstrator is even the Reaper perplexed. Afraid to say that we were very ignorant about Inspector Gregson's standing. We heard he was considered something of a legend at the Scotland Yard. Again, it was 10 years ago that he first made a name for himself by uncovering a decisive piece of evidence that exposed the professor's identity. If it wasn't for Gregson's singular approach to the case, the discovery would never have been made. What sort of approach? After my brother's life was taken, the inspector pushed for a full autopsy. 10 years ago? Why is that so surprising? Autopsy was considered a discretion of the body at the time and rarely performed. My brother was, of course, a noble. That made the idea of it even more unthinkable. Something Gregson had dug up in his investigations made him determined it was necessary. His powerful conviction somehow influenced the House of Lords, and as a result, I could avenge my brother's death. So you must have had great confidence in the inspector's abilities then. It's even more inconceivable that you would have taken his life. I don't have confidence in anyone. Oh. Sir Gregson felt the same way. I've no doubt that he thought of me only as the ominous Reaper, just like the rest of London. What really went on between Lord Van Zieks and Gregson, I wonder? What was the true nature of the relationship? About the gun you used to shoot the inspector that was found at the scene? Ah, yes, that's not mine. Clearly, because common opinion seems to be that it is. What do you expect me to say to that? Lord Stronhart informs us that you claim to have misplaced your firearm. As embarrassing as it is, I'm afraid it's true. When did you lose it then? That I don't know. Oh? I was issued with a revolver when I first became a prosecutor 10 years ago. I must have stowed it somewhere, I suppose. I left it somewhere, perhaps. You have something in common with Lord Van Zeeks after all, Mr. Naruhodo. A talent for misplacing things. No, this has nothing to do with me. Don't drag me into it. Don't make the mistake of associating me with this Nipponese. Oh dear. Earth is very wide, isn't it? Not decisive evidence, clearly. But it doesn't look good, that's for sure. Alright, Mr. Reaper. Let's soften you up a little bit. Lord Van Zeeks, I came by this old photograph. Where'd you get that? It was taken when I became a qualified prosecutor. It's almost unbelievable. I assumed it was long lost. This is the man on the left there. Yes, that's my brother, Clint. It had to be, really. Apparently, this picture was prominently displayed in Gregson's office. He had a deep respect for you, you know. Were you aware of that? Respect? That's nonsense. No, we've heard someone attest to it very clearly. Inspector Gina Lestrade, no less. Well, maybe once, yes. There was a time things were like that. We were brothers in arms, jovially discussing the future of justice, another such lofty subject matter. That was a nice glimpse of the past. I thank you. So I got a nice glimpse of the past then, too. A glimmer of light in his eyes, a brief twinkle, an insight into the true nature of this man known to all as a stone-cold reaper of the Bailey. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh? That's the first time he's ever used my actual name. I've lost all confidence in my country's justice system. I don't trust the police, the judiciary, or lawyers. But there's still one thing I'm willing to believe in. What's that? That which you see in the eyes of another across the courtroom. A simple determination to know the truth. Lord Van Zeeks. For the very first time we clashed in the Bailey almost a year ago now, I couldn't deny it, even though I ideally wish I could. Here is a loathsome Nipponese who has absolute integrity as a lawyer. There are only two other men I've known with that same look in their eyes. My brother, Clint, and Genshin Asogi. And he idolizes the man who betrayed his trust in the most hideous way. When you showed me that photograph just now, it reminded me. You mean this photograph? Back when I was able to laugh, I was free of the shackles of mistrust that plague me now. I looked at the future with hope. Since then, I've protected myself against betrayal by refusing to trust anyone. At times, the mire into which I've sunk makes it almost impossible to breathe. I'm so sorry. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I want to believe in that look in your eyes. I need to believe in it. In tomorrow's trial, will you advocate for me? Wow. Of course I will. It would be an honor. I'm so pleased, Mr. Naruhodo. Then my life is in your hands. For Lord Van Zeeks, that must have been an incredibly hard thing to ask. Which is why I simply cannot let the man down. Tomorrow, and the Old Bailey, against my old friend, Kazuma. What a twist. Van Zeeks is the accused. Our dead best friend is the prosecutor. What is going on? Our favorite comic relief, Gregson, is dead. I like Gregson. He liked fried food like I like fried food. I want to keep going, so I'm going to. Not as long as last time, though. There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no. It's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There's menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. It'll only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my, I do apologize. However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details, however. I understand that no jury has been selected. A trial without a jury? Oh, well, that's just like trial the professor 10 years ago. A closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? Hey! You made it back to normal. An outright victory for science, you must agree. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Ha, what to one man's little hair problem? It's another day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Oh dear, how awful for you. Great, you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And not you, I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Well, you exaggerate, my dear fellow, compared to my paltry engagements with the few trivial cases. Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. Also, may not agree with your methods. There is at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor. And that would be your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes. After all, behind this lawyer, there's a very great mind, my own. What are you trying to say? I wish I wanted to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Sorry to barge in. Oh my gosh, everyone's here. Gina! Dead on her arm. It's a morning band, I suppose? Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium? Then postponed, so I had some free time. I decided to come along with the police, expected to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Odo. Oh, yes, Gina? Why'd you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on? This Reaper bloke. Everyone says it was it and what killed the boss. Sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that. Well, if it weren't him, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper's just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. If it turns out it wasn't him who killed the boss, then God help him. Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. At least that may be some solace to the deceased. Please, Odo. Get whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. So you gotta find who done this and make the wretch pay. Counsel for the defense of the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way to the courtroom at once, please. Alright then, here we go. What if, wait, okay, what if, just for fun, Seshiro judged this? That would be wild. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. Whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. No, I was wrong. Oh well. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session. We are here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant, Barak Khan seeks. Counsel for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? Defense is ready, my lord. Prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama. I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels. But I've never pictured it happening like this. Never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench. So-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Then we must uncover the truth behind the scourge. In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder. Truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present, by Her Majesty's direct orders. How will that work, my lord? The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Therefore, as you will see, the jurors' bench shall remain vacant today. When members of the public are present, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord? They are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Members of the judiciary. Oh my, it's a very unusual trial already. There's of course another unprecedented aspect of these proceedings on which I must elaborate. Counsel for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain. I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. And as here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain. This is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Kazuma? Very well, let's commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asogi, your opening statement, if you please. Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on November 1st, just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Location was a building on flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. Victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property. Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson. I know him very well indeed to this court. At least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimmest cases 10 years ago. The Professor case. I'll show you about the time of the incident. Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot and all reported at the same time. That's what Gino told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. Victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from in front at point-blank range and died instantly. How has the range been determined? There were scorch marks around the entry wound. These marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. Powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, counsel. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim. And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm? No, my lord. No, not conclusively. Bravo, Kazuma-sama. We're not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance cannot be proven. Furthermore, my lord, I explained the revolver was fired at extremely close range. While it passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There is a candelabrum mounted on that wall. Tip of that, one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? It's so weird. I think that candle was replaced. I think that candle head is fake. I think someone tampered with it. Thank you for the thorough report, counsel. The scene of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please. As you wish, my lord. Is this Fresno Street Room Inspector Gregson's private abode? No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. There is precious little furniture inside and is generally in a poor state of repair. What was Gregson even doing there? Presumably he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. The officer arrested the accused on the spot. But the details of the case are clear. In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Name, please, counsel. Naturally. The accused himself. Or Van Zieks. As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken, and will be compelled to tell the truth. Very well. Let the defendant take the witness stand. This is weird. So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Beric Van Zieks, Old Bailey prosecutor. Presume, Lord Van Zieks, that you heard Prosecutor Solgi's opening precis. I did. It is alleged you were found at the scene of the crime, and that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this? Yes, my lord. I'm sure the court will like to hear you explain some things away, namely why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question, and what exactly took place. And to explain away nothing, I will simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zieks, I never imagined this day would come. Rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come. But since it became known as the Reaper, part of me has been dreading it. Your formal testimony, then. Witness? Investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. I first entered the room that day. It was dark inside, and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. As I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open, and I heard a man scream. Only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. That tells me it was the whole truth. It was. So you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants. And moments later, a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? You're right, you haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. Thought you were my mute apprentice. Yeah, it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Solgi. Appear to be a singular tale indeed. Singular isn't the word, it's laughable. Kind of the Cosmo. He's not behaving like himself at all. Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. Something changed with his personality. It's almost like he's two different people. Or he has like two different personalities.
Hold it!
You're investigating the inspector. What on earth for? I'm not at liberty to say. Sorry? I'd identified a distinct possibility that Gregson was involved in the case I was investigating. Regrettably, though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed. Does the court understand, then? On the day in question, you followed the victim to the scene? No. I was privy to his movements in advance. How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. The address on Fresno Street was noted at the 5 p.m. entry. Illegally entered the man's office. In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense. As it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Van Zieks? I was aware of the possible consequences. So in summary, you were investigating the victim, and yet, you refused to tell the court why. I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoyed such freedom to choose what to divulge at their oath. Ugh. If I ever think I could defend this man.
Hold it!
Have you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations into Gregson's activities. There was no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. At 5 p.m., the sun would only have just gone down. It would still have been reasonably light outside. The room has a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way into the room from outside, so it was extremely murky inside. I would not have noticed that the victim was already lying on the floor. There's no artificial light in the room. You say that you're quite sure. I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there was a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though I couldn't say for certain. Like Mr. Naruhodo. A small desk in the room just here. Yes, I remember. And there was an oil lamp on it, as well as a framed photograph. When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate. What did you find? Nothing. Never actually reached the desk.
Hold it!
Who fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. You say it was very dark in there? Yes, that's right. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another presence. And it could be the gunshot actually originated from somewhere outside the room. No, that's out of the question. Without doubt, the sound emanated from inside the room. I could smell the gunpowder. This is going from bad to worse. And you say that's the point at which you noticed the revolver on the floor? Correct. And I foolishly picked it up. That was carelessness on my part. Presumably then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm that you somewhat hastily took in your hands. In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there was no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is the gun that was fired? Whilst I would like to oblige you with an answer, I'm afraid I can't. I, too, would dearly like to know that.
Hold it!
A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume? That's right. One of the street merchants working on the Fresno Street. Who are these merchants? A number of them had set their stalls directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They're all given statements saying they heard the gunshot. Felt out of danger. They ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Gina told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, it would seem. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process. You're supposed to be the Reaper. First man to come in immediately noticed the revolver in my hand and fled. A policeman patrolling on Fresno Street heard the commotion and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? Oh, what way to the body? Up here. Honestly, I can't explain, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point. And then suddenly, there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open and the scream of the man who came inside first, nothing more. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson. Most curious circumstances indeed. How the inspector was killed or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea. Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination is clearly revealed. The accused, Barrick Van Zieks, is lying on multiple fronts. This music is good. Gracious counsel. Defendant is lying, you say? In his testimony just now, he claims that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room is dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. Proven by this candelabrum. How does that prove anything? Examine the tip of the long candle. You can see it has been blown off by a powerful impact. One would assume that the projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle. The problem comes when you consider the other two candles, which are clearly of a different length. Yes, I can see that only the candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long. We could reasonably expect someone to have lit all three candles together. Begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. That's because that particular candle was extinguished and the others were still burning. Ah. That's right. The candle was hit by the bullet. It obviously went out. But the other two candles would still have been burning. The fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum. The accused claims that he could see the body clearly contradicts those facts. And now to the next lie. Here's more. The accused also claims never to have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In an almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings. Yes, that's right. We saw it too. But without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged, however, it included a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. 10 years ago. This is starting to sound familiar. There's a common thread linking all the documents on that board. Indeed, what is this common thread, counsel? They relate to cases prosecuted in court by Barrick von Zieks. All of them? Here's the Reaper. Furthermore, all those cases are ones in which the defendant was acquitted. Good lord. Interestingly, none of those defendants are alive today because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Oh no. In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout and his base of operations. The Reaper's hideout? And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout? No one would believe that. No, the truth is, we've been looking at this backwards. Backwards? Explain, counsel. Mr. Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. I'm sure everyone can imagine. By the Reaper's hand. What? Order, order, order! Very well. I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Mr. Van Zieks is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, with deep regret that I must concur with the prosecutor Solgi's contention. The defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts. All I have done is state the truth as I know it. Cosmo has done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case. Formidable. Counsel, I submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. Believe it to be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence. Thank you, my lord. Now, the prosecution will have to call new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses who saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in the previous testimony, too, as if you remember. It's the street sellers where the gunshot went right into the room. Very well, leave the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witness stand. Certainly, my lord. Poor people! Oh, it's so sad! Oh. Names, we don't use names. Far too fancy for the likes of us. We're just free and easy, so what we like, live where we want to live. I give them all vacant stares. They walk down Fresno and spit a few words into a verse for them. All my hate for him made him. Oh, shut up! No, it didn't. He swindled people, dude. He committed a crime, and he lied in court. He robbed people, or he charged falsely. But have you right in assuming that the three of you make your living by selling wares on the street? But still, poor people. Hey, everyone calls me gossip. I sell Johnny Little Tidbits to passerbys, you know. Johnny Little Tidbits. I know, smash it for you, sir. Right at the beginning, all it is. It's expensive, the price, and not a penny less. Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now? Oh, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested. Try the man. Give him the money and see what it is. Pay the man, counsel. All right. 6 pence it is. Regrets or now you got your listening ears on? Between us, a young couple on Slate Street have just had twins. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's gossip, isn't it? Wants to spread, but that bit's up to you and your mouth, of course. I've got more, you know. Want another juicy one? 6 pence a piece it is, if you're curious. I'm curious, yes, about what's going on under that fat bottom lip of yours. Even that unusual bruise or whatever it is that's poking up under your collar. Oh, I didn't notice that. How about the next one? What name do you go by and what do you sell? Me, I'm Venus. That's what everyone calls me. Funny, innit? I sell these lovely little fireworks to all the local school kids. 6 pence a pop, what do you say? You weren't exaggerating with little. Do they actually sell? Oh yeah, the second years can't get enough of my Venus firecrackers. Just when I tell them that if they get 100, they could blow up the school. That's the most savory of ideas, young lady. What do you say then, eh? My part with the 6 pence for a pop. Wait, what? You want me to buy one? Tell you what, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you could blow up the whole courtroom. Try the woman. Give her the money and see if she's right. Pay the woman, counsel. All right, I'll buy one. Oh my gosh. The Venus special, only 600 pence. 600? 100 of my regular fireworks. Nothing little about that, is there? There'd be nothing little about the punishment if I blew up the Old Bailey either. Why? This is evidence? Oh my gosh. I'm a thinker, me. Think all sorts of thoughts. I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I think. I stand there on the street watching the world go on about me. They call me the observator. Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you sandwich and you know it. So you don't actually sell anything. A problem shared is a problem had, as they say. I give advice, I do, and I think what it means. I don't actually sell anything. No, come to think of it. Pity. No more purchases today, please. Well, we have quite a cast here, it seems. I conduct our business on Fresno Tea from morning till night, my lord, and always in the same place, directly adjacent to the crime scene. I see, and thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witnessed the crime. I'll be beggared, I thought, just between us. Fantasy Milo, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw. What I think is if all what we saw is light and shadow playing in ours, if any of it real. Very well. Probably hear the formal testimony of these three witnesses now. Who will describe in detail what you witnessed and heard at the time of the incident. We saw the whole thing from start to finish. We did everything from the moment they went into the building. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside, then we all heard a big bang! Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what had happened. I ran into the room and there he was, the Reaper gun in hand, standing over the dead body. I was scared half to death me, so I ran out to find a copper. These witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything. What did they see going inside the building? Only the victim, Inspector Gregson, and the accused, Barrick Van Zeeks. I'll see pictures of the Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. Just, you know, folks love stories like this. Wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it. All those flats on Fresno Street are unoccupied. Of course, yeah, they're small, damp, dirty, and expensive to boot. The room in which the inspector was found is the only property in the building that's currently leased. You know, the leaseholder's named only a Boone. Testimony that the court has just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. been increasingly difficult to see how anyone other than the defendant could have committed the crime. No. Thank you for your candor, my lord. After the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination of the witnesses. Yes, my lord. In a close court like this without a jury, the judge is the only person whose opinion matters. I have to break down this testimony. Somehow.
Hold it!
When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zeeks? I suppose so. Likes of us don't know the names of the high and mighty. Say one thing. It was Yale Reaper that won it last, that's for sure and certain. Let's be honest, Inspector Gregson that they read at the same time as each other. No, not at all. First fella must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard the gunshot. Victim arrived 15 minutes before. Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Am I sure? Doesn't seem likely that I forgot a fella with bright red hair like that. Yeah, his hair really were red, weren't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks, even. That fiery red mob still burned on the inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute, you're saying the man was a redhead? Weren't you listening, chum? I was a redhead. He had a big trunk with him as well. But the Gregson's hair isn't red. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Neither the person you saw wasn't, in fact, Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party. No, I hate to break it to you. The witnesses are correct. What? Have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene. That's Inspector Gregson, alright. Why does he have the wig? Red hairpiece? Ah, of course. We saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? Sure refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. Why on earth would he have had been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. Okay, will be submitted as evidence, please, counsel. Excuse me. I'll begin with the trunk that the redhead victim was carrying. I was informed no trunk was found at the scene. It just disappeared. Well, but doesn't have been watching the building every second, do you? We definitely saw him in the dock going in, though. No question about that. Listen to the trunk at the Reaper got inside, then we all heard a big bang. A trunk with a person inside by chance? By which presumably you mean the gunshot? I bet. It says little things on it. How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? Oh, it's not even possible. It sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? You said that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant enter the building. Well, that's right. It was almost straight away. Bang! It went just like that. Well, he's the Reaper, isn't he? It's what the French call a fait accompli. The Reaper's around. People are going to be in the ground. I mean, that's what he does, isn't he? Isn't it? Maybe we get the message. Reaper couldn't allow the inspector to live after he discovered his secret hideout. There would be no clear motive for the crime. Yes. So an eminently credible motive. Great. At that point, you're right on his side. Is that correct?
Hold it!
When Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too? Well, me, I'm a bit hampered. See all the signs and that. I can't move very well. You're way behind, presumably, with that sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand. What a great burden you bear. Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but possibly you and I have met before. Not anybody mean. That's signs are what make me who I am now. I signed, therefore I am. So you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago, then? I'd be mistaken, but I believe this trembling has intensified, Mr. Naruto. I agree. He's clearly been through a lot. Burn down King Henry Street and the Black Widower's arms is just there. Oh, dude, you made him hide behind a sign. It was full of surprises.
Hold it!
And you were the first person to arrive on the scene. Is that right? That I was kicked the door open like a professional. I did. Yelled out, "What's going off here?" Because extended, all I heard was a man's scream, though. The dark inside the room. No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall. Really? There's a fella collapsed on the floor. Yo, what's up, serial killer? It's so good to see you. I just need you to know, though, that this game, I am in extreme spoiler territory. If you ever think, even if you're like maybe 5 to 20 years down the road, you might consider playing this game, leave now. Otherwise, risk spoilers, and it's not my fault if you get spoiled. This is very spoiler intensive. I will give you 3 seconds to leave, and then I'm going to keep going. 3, 2, 1. I see. Even the Lord Manzies claims not to have seen any such lights on the wall. Next thing I know is with someone standing right beside the body. The accused, Barak Van Zeeks. That's right, the Pale-Faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked. I won't deny it, but I'm no lily-livered coward. I stood my ground and gave the Reaper a hold, a card stare myself.
Excuse me.
You have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head, I am. Just 2 slices with no middle. I don't know what you could move on with me. I think that maybe you just remembered something. Having heard Mr. Gossip's last statement, I mean. What I think is we're all nothings, really. We try to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers. Enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. You want us to make you a real sandwich? When he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside. That's it. Rotten beggar, I told you to keep that a secret. He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. That's all I wanted to say. Mr. Gossip, is this true? The floor was dead slippery, that's why. Planted my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck! Pool of blood? Listen here, even when I was sprawled on the floor, looked at you in that Reaper a cold hard stare, and don't you forget it. Let's go back. Did you say you got blood on your hand? I did, eh? Happens to the best of us at times, doesn't it? I was scared, so I slipped over. Keep it between us, can't we? No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony. Oh, if I must.
Hold it!
You wiped your hand on the floor. Well, who wants blood on his hand, eh? Horrible stuff. They might have thought I'd done it. To no talk. And you didn't think that might be a problem? It really matter if I left a few grubby handprints on the floor. They'll get cleaned up in the end, won't they? Don't make such a fuss. It's a message for all of us. They're wrong, counsel. No, my lord. I didn't remember anything in the report about a bloody handprint on the floor. That's all. Don't come at me with all that. You can't intimidate me. I know what I did. I wiped it off. On the floor. The blood. I wonder, could that be what happened? Naruto? I don't have all the answers yet. I think we may have just uncovered a vital clue.
Hold it!
You didn't run into the room with your friends. I'm not that sort of girl. Sorry. I'm a timid little thing. Me? I was too scared to go in there. Ah, right. I see. Old Lippy and the witch ran in there, and I heard a sort of old lady scream. Well, that wasn't me. I swear if I was a gentleman, I'd stake my honor on it. I'm wondering what on earth is going on. which is when you went to find a policeman. I ran into a copper as soon as I turned the corner, so I brought him straight back to the place. Didn't I do well, eh? You noticed that copper's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he saw the Reaper. I've never felt more uncomfortable in my life. If anyone was arrested on the spot, I believe. If the catalog of killings the Reaper had been carried out, it was a particularly inauspicious end. I can't find any holes in this testimony. Where the judge would give a ruling of guilty, Mr. Naruto. The combined testimony is fairly damning. Fortunately, there don't seem to be any obvious problems with their statements, do there? Still, Lord Van Zieks really is innocent, then I'm almost certain that we'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. One of these three could be the true culprit, do you? I don't know, but what I do know is that there's more to this case than has yet to be brought to light. Never did investigate the notice board. Just of a whole raft of cases dating back on years, aren't there? Here from 10 years ago is Browning with age. Look, out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. See, Red-Headed League advertisement that Mr. Schultz has picked up. You remember there was a red hairpiece at the scene too? Dr. Gregson, an exponent of the Red-Headed League then? Oh my. What's this? Mr. Naruto, look. A smudge of some kind. In fact, it looks like a handprint. Color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear. How disturbing. Well, that's the answer to that. Yeah, I did, Mr. Naruto. You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks. Sorry, I just said it's the Venus special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Did I find out? What? But should I go up in the courtroom? Alright, that was a fairly sizable bang. Here's a syringe, Mr. Naruto. It sounded almost exactly like a gunshot. Dang, they're all in on it, or at least two of them are.
Objection!
You wiped out the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that? Well, what else do you expect me to have done, eh?
Objection!
Really matter? Police found no such handprint on the floor during the investigations. What exactly is the defense asserting? If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Isogi. Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There's a handprint of blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of the notice board. Yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint of distinctive blood color of blood. You're dead right, that's my right hand. I know it anywhere.
Objection!
Witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor. And the handprints at the back of the board are irrelevant.
Just happened.
Yo, Excellent, thank you for the host. Much appreciated, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible that the witness handprint would have ended up there. Look at the floor plan of the room. The board was in the opposite corner of the room of the victim and in an upright position. It had somehow been toppled that was lying on the floor at the time. Would have been a considerable distance from the body. I fell over when I came across the body, and so I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. There's a very definite contradiction here, for which there must be a reason. You formulated a proper hypothesis, counsel. Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene. I have, my lord. This discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprint explained by... No, they're remakes, Fetal. Or Fleetle. Welcome to the stream, by the way. No, these are the same two games. And I like to remind all new viewers that come during puzzle games, no spoilers ever, or I ban you. Otherwise, we chill. I don't, no hints, no speculation, and the reason that I'm being like this is because I've had it happen where someone comes in as a first-time chatter and they spoil something, and it really annoys me. So, it's not you that's the problem, it's other people that have made me tilted about spoilers. So, I hope I don't come off as rude, but I do want to be very clear that I do not tolerate spoilers or speculation. And my questions are always rhetorical. This discrepancy between a witness's account and location of the handprint is explained by the board. If the board fell over here, if the board moved, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make, unless there had to be, I think it has to be false testimony either way. Witness claims to have wiped his bloody hand on the floor, yet no sign of that remains at the scene. So the explanation is that the witness is lying. Just because it's the simplest explanation doesn't make it the correct one. Ryunosuke Naruto. Positing perjury simply because it suits you, you bring shame on your Japanese heritage. Oh. I guess I was wrong? That's weird. I remember fostering that kind of simplistic thinking in you. That's when, were you my father? Anyway, I was always taught to consider all possibilities and show me. There should be a bloody handprint on the floor. Where did it go? Did I give it progress? The real contradiction here is the handprint itself not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down. Good gracious, so it is. When his head had put his hand against the board, the finger should be pointing upwards. What does that tell us? It tells us one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as I previously suggested, which means that after the incident, it must have been moved.
Objection!
I feel dumb getting that one, Ron. Oh well. They're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting. Was the court who? I don't know that yet. The point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now be very clear on one point. And that would be position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord. So, counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated?
Take that!
One possible location. Immediately adjacent to the doorway. The court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier. He said that when he entered the room, it was dark, and he couldn't see the body. By heck, if the notice board had been here, the body would have been completely hidden from view, and the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker. The accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. That's true. Or, in his precise words, just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It's only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. I don't know about calling it a scream, but he was talking about me and no mistake. Because it was me that kicked the door open. Look again at the floor plan. Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. That can't. The door struck the notice board, knocking it over, making the victim's body visible. Good gracious. My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Arg. Order, order. Council, how has this not come to light before now? After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw it when investigating the room. What else would have be to say for yourself? What? To me, my lord. You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. Because they're saying that you must know something about the positions of the notice board. The witnesses in the stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime. Stop looking over your glasses at me. I can get the message. He's freaking out. I don't know anything about the notice board. I just wet my hand on it. That's all. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life. Was that Reaper? I bet he's got a face that screams bored. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot. Oh, you can't be certain of that. And if you can elaborate further. Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. You can expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think. Do you really? Any case, as the testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot ran out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Barrick Franziques. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Does the defense still wish to cross examine the witnesses despite the circumstances? Yeah, most certainly, my lord. Very well. Then you may proceed, counsel. I don't know anything about that. There, no support. I just want my hand on it.
Hold it!
She admitted that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on. Admit it. What's to admit? It's there plain as day for all to see. Smashing print on my right hand. First, you wanted to hide that handprint? So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you? Oh, no. Imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man? Well, did you see anybody else move the board? I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it, and there was precious little light inside either. While it was all go quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definite testimony on that point. Yeah, so it would seem.
Hold it!
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's the Priori School just around the corner, see? What cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow the school of Kingdom Come. I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me and buy more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. That's a pretty clever business plan, not gonna lie. Of course, sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life selling explosives. Venus is a guyful goddess indeed. Well, telling barefaced lies is my kind of thing, really. I'm never so good at it.
Excuse me.
Something wrong. Mr. Sandwich? If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it? No. Miss Venus' statement just not bring something to mind, perhaps? Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. The Vikings suck, Eric, and they deserve to lose. Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too, or the truth? In which case, she's not a liar. Ooh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think? Not entirely sure, to be honest, but it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying, are you? What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. That'll give you something to tremble about. It was certainly a disturbing mind behind that sweet, innocent face, young lady. Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich? Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Old Blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshot seemed to come from, but there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That Ron liar over there. Hee hee. Stop it, Johan. Did I make a mistake giving you mod powers? With that kind of thinking? Kidding. You mean to say that you did in fact take yourself to the scene of the crime after all? I just... What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling a barefaced lies, didn't I? Yeah, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Ooh, firecrackers packed such a punch. You did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief. Well, now you come to mention it. I suppose perhaps. I do clearly remember climbing the stairs of the room, yeah? Either you clearly remember it or you don't. Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act later. I mean, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Oh, yes, my lord, of course. I think the gunshot they heard was firecrackers.
Hold it!
You have it a line, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. You want my advice? I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you? Oh, please, as if I would. Can't think of anything more terrifying. Truth, please. Alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know? Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I'd look to see if there was anything I could sell. So did I give the place a once-over, but it was nothing for a write home about. Right, now I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had. Truth, please. Alright then, I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. I blasted the flapping thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing. You're telling us you did move that board. I think that did slip out, didn't it? What, you daft barn bot? I don't believe it. That girl doesn't think. You find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? Sell? Oh, please, I should be so lucky. I have my imagination. Truth now! Might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. But a bit old junk like this can't be worth much if you ask. It was you, was it? You're the one who took it. Gina? And let me remind you where you are. That watch there, that was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard. For a big case he solved 10 years ago. Professor Case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when it was waiting for Grub to come at the pub. I see. I swept it off and once and blimey was he upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing and winding it. Meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for then. It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez's that night to see how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked around and worthless, he called it. Ah, I knew I should have lifted it. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once. Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done. Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again. That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith. No, children, watch your manners. Good lord. Glass appears to be broken. More than likely it shattered when the inspector was shot. Doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh? Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. Exactly when the gunshot was heard, then? Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Well, it appears that the mystery of the moving nose part has been solved, at least. As predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Continuing with the cross-examination, please, counsel.
Hold it!
But you did go to see what happened in the room, didn't you? Fresno Street is my whole world. It's all I know, and I know all of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my sign up high. You did go see what happened. It's not the destination that's important. It's how you get there, isn't it? Notice the nose part in the room? If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the sign family. If I'd spotted it, I might have tried to tip it up out of a sense of rivalry, I admit. I don't really need to tell you that you're Homo sapiens, not Homo sapiens. Does that mean you didn't notice the board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life. In which case, who was responsible for moving the notice board? We already established that.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? Oh, come on now, don't tell us you've not noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fella. Not notice boards are the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I'd ever noticed. They want thing for free, though. Never took my eyes off that man on the floor, off the river, not for a second. Sorry? Well, I was that scared I couldn't. You never know what a feeling like that might do if you look away, do you? You didn't take your eyes off the defendant? To be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. That I can. The Reaper did nothing of the sort. I guess rid of that. Couldn't have missed it. If he'd heaved the thing upright and dragged it into the corner. Right. Glad we've cleared that up. What happened to the face that screams bored? I feel your pain, Kazuma.
Hold it!
5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over. Or maybe I didn't. The Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of the gunshot we all heard. Your fate's sealed too? My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose. The prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. We just find some problem with that part of their story. Maybe possible. Change all our fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Not much to go on. As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it. Even after the event, so thought someone might be right and it's not relevant to the case. It seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. Another more clues be uncovered. You're on the right track. I can feel it. Follow your instincts. All right, then. Although the face is badly clad, look. I assume the inspector clearly looked at it so carefully. Imagine Mr. Jones prepared, don't you? Yes, I should think so. Very adept at things like this. Usually men have around, in fact. I remember these are great detective, Naruto. Not job, man. Ah, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh, yes, that's probably the winder used to wind up the mechanism. It's a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you'd need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like a key that's about the right size to fit in this hole. Wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found. Mrs. Do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Rickson's watch? Oh, yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. Not a moment to lose. I knew it had a perfect fit. And look, his watch had started going off again. Ah, so it's obviously just been wound up, that's all. What is it, Mrs. Otto? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, then it could have profound implications. He's deep in thought now. I better start thinking deeply too.
Objection!
I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case. Oh. At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch. A key. And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it is in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which the case is built. What? Order, but counsel. Watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. We have an autopsy report. No time of death. Yeah, so we heard that gunshot. It is exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. Really coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock. Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. That's obviously when this crime was committed.
Objection!
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. The boss used to wind it every evening without fail when he was getting grub at the pub. So yeah, I missed a day in the last 10 years polishing and winding it. Let's go, Exilor. It meant the world to him that watched it. Ooh, fajitas, nice. I had quesadillas tonight. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the tape on the evening before he died as well. Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case, you would expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day. Oh, well, how do you explain it then? In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch. You can't mean. What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. Order, counsel. This is an extraordinary claim. Extraordinary isn't the word. It's absurd. You claim he was already dead in the night before. Do you really think the Scotland Yard coroner would have overlooked something like that? Well, on that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted. That's right. Wait a minute, you're forgetting that my legs went from under me and I kicked the door in. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty gray puddle of blood. Yes, so the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh. It's not fast, doesn't he? That blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured out over the victim's body after he... My learned friend thinking that fresh blood is available in every street corner. Learned friend? Well, it needn't necessarily have been a human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities. So then a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. It's the only possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection!
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock, that's beyond question. Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh, please, what are you trying to say? This lot know what we heard, and it was a loud bang that came from their room. Now, you listen to me, a street seller's ear is livelihood. I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can say with certainty is that you heard a noise. Eh? Explain yourself then, counsel. Noise that sounds like a gunshot. Could have been made with...
Take that!
something like this. This culprit could have set up... The culprit could have set up one of these to take a gunshot. Gracious, the very fireworks are sold by the witness? Hold on a minute, are you saying I did it? Ooh, I love that emote. Oh, it's Pie's emote. I love that emote from Pie. My pretty little firecracker only makes a little pop anyway, see? And 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. I'm trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene. I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear. But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gunshot or guncracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barrick Van Zeeks. Well, if I imagine my firecrackers go pop. See, it's why people like them. Fear for your fingers, young lady. Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. It's called a time bomb. Good heavens, a bomb? Yeah, it's a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Sorry, Odo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. Oh, no, wait. It's a whenever you like part that's important. A timed device. Yes, exactly. A timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your significant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed to create the gunshot sound? I want to say it's the candles. But before I do that, I want to double check. I want to say it's the candles, which is why 2 of the candles are burnt and the 3rd one is not. That's my read right now.
Take that!
As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candle room has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet as soon as it passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible. Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle. There are. Goodness, yes. Is it not the case that there was also scorching of the victim around the bullet entry wound? That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorch scorching like that only occurs when the target is at a very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Which means that the scorching of the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks? How can that be, eh? The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. Or somehow attached to fireworks at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burned down along with the other two. Eventually ignited the fuse of the firecrackers generating loud. That's how these three witnesses came to believe they heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot. This implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even. Now, just hold your horses. All you lot here saw the victim go into the building, remember? Or all us, sorry. I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair even if I wanted to. The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously anybody can wear a wig. The person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely, wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean to say it was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick? In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. Ha 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 ha. Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kazuma? Really quite amazed you come this far. After all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also noted the lack of time at the end of this report. A stark omission. As far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Order, order. Prosecutor Sogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today. We cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. Defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. While the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it. Well, certainly, I would agree with you. What immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? Inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard. Even within the yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing, wouldn't you, my learned friend? I do have a feeling about what case you might have been investigating. I agree, surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. Very well, counsel. Present your argument at the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the... Wait. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the Inspector prior? I want to say it's this photograph. This was given to us by Mrs. Vigil. This is just a random newspaper. Oh, it could be this. Oh, because he had the red. I think it's this because of the hairpiece.
Take that!
I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. Am I assuming it was part? Oh, Oh, okay, I guess both kind of work. I mentioned it was part of a discovery undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except that is in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? So you'd already worked it out. What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen? The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. A deception of what nature, Council? They've been targeting red-headed men across all London to get them out of small sums of money. Two men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact, by Herlock Sholmes. My lord. Offense calls for those two men to be summoned at once. Two redheads. Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece. It's likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. It's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur that we cannot, in good conscience, leave this new avenue unexplored. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us, at least. The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these two Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Sogi. At once, my lord. Very good. We will have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. Crazy. This is crazy, man. One blunder today. That's it. Not too bad. Not too bad. What will we find out about these red-headed individuals? How did Van Zieks get to be in this predicament? How deep is this case going to run? Why is Cosmo acting so weird? He's acting like himself, and then he feels like he's acting like Von Zieks almost. Kind of weird. Well, we'll have to wait until next time to find out more on Great Ace Attorney 2. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.